The ground exploded beneath me as ice and fire magic clashed violently. In front of me stood a massive dragon, the strongest boss in the dungeon.
Just a mage, far too weak to face such a monster alone. My strongest attacks couldn't even scratch a single scale on its body. Fear gripped me. The next second, the dragon's claw sent me flying. My staff slipped from my hand. Damn it. I was supposed to be the greatest mage in the world, and now I might die here. I hit the ground hard, feeling like every bone in my body was about to break. Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching. I looked up and saw my teammates, Naomi and Richard. One of them was my lover, and the other was my best friend. But when I saw Richard's hand wrapped around Naomi's waist, my mind went blank. I didn't dwell on it. I quickly asked them to help me out of there. However, they didn't move. They stood still, looking at me as if I were a joke. Why were their expressions so cold? Naomi walked over and gently held my hand, slowly sliding the storage ring off my finger. "I never thought you would actually come for the Pisces amulet," she said in a casual voice. "You were a good man who would give me everything I wanted." Before I could respond, she took the ring from my hand and added with a smile, "This way, I won't forget your kindness." Wait, what did she mean by that? I reached out trying to grab her, but the next second they started getting intimate right in front of me. They kissed passionately, Richard's hands all over her. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was all planned, just to get rid of me. That's why we came here, to send me off. They had betrayed me. I had treated them like family, and they stabbed me in the back. My life was slowly slipping away as my heartbeat faded. Everything went blank. I think I had died, but what I didn't know was that suddenly my chest began to glow red, and the Pisces amulet slowly emerged from my body. Bang, bang, bang! Wake up. The sun's already up. That familiar and annoying alarm clock blared again. Instinctively, I slapped it off, rubbed my head, and opened my eyes. The room looked unfamiliar, yet oddly familiar, as if I had seen it somewhere before. Wasn't this my college dorm? Wasn't I just killed by the final boss? I quickly realized that my storage ring and all my elixirs and treasures were gone. The TV showed that it was August 7th, 2040. Had I been reincarnated? Reincarnated to the day before the game's launch, 10 years ago? Was this real? I calmed down quickly and tried to figure out what had happened. I remembered a rumor in the game 8 Wastelands that the ultimate artifact, the Pisces amulet, could grant a chance of revival. If that was the case, it must have been the Pisces amulet that brought me back. My joy at being reincarnated was quickly replaced by burning anger. Fortunately, I hadn't put the Pisces amulet in my storage ring. Perhaps those two scumbags would have stolen it too. Since the heavens had given me another chance, I wasn't going to waste it. I put on my clothes and walked to the mirror. My reflection gleamed with coldness. Before all this, I had just gone through the most tragic and desperate time of my life. The person I had loved for 10 years was having an affair with my most trusted friend. They even conspired to cheat me out of all my belongings, elixirs, and magical artifacts, eventually luring me into a death trap. Since the heavens had given me another chance, I vowed to make them experience the pain of betrayal and utter despair. Suddenly, my phone rang. The caller ID showed it was Crazy Girl. I couldn't help but smile as I answered. "Crazy Girl, long time no see." On the other end, a lively and youthful voice replied, sounding a bit confused. She told me that we had just had hot pot together yesterday. However, it seemed she had gathered a lot of courage to make this call. She said there was something important she had to tell me and that I needed to brace myself. I knew exactly what she wanted to say. The exact same day, 10 years ago in my previous life, she had called to tell me she saw Naomi kissing another guy. Not only did I not believe her, but we got into a huge argument and never spoke again. Hearing her voice again was such a relief. I apologized to her. She remarked that I was acting strange today. I laughed it off casually. Then I heard a heavy object drop on the floor, probably a dumbbell. She sounded worried and insisted she wasn't joking. Just like before, she told me about Naomi and the other guy. My reaction was calm, which made her even more anxious. She kept insisting it wasn't a joke. I interrupted her, telling her I believed her, but had something more important to tell her. Hearing my calm voice, she thought I might be on the brink of having some bad thoughts and tried to comfort me.
Instead, I sat at my computer and asked if she'd heard of the game 8 Wastelands. Of course she had. Ads for it were everywhere. I told her I planned to go all in and become a professional player. Because unlike everyone else, I knew the truth. This wasn't just a game. In 5 years, it would merge with reality. Abilities, items, NPCs, everything would become real. The earlier you entered, the greater your advantage. She was surprised, but knowing my gaming skills, she believed I could succeed. I decided to move out and rent a place to fully focus on the game. Hearing that I had a goal again seemed to ease her worries. We talked a bit longer, but then I remembered something important and quickly stopped her from hanging up. I had spent all my money on Naomi, and now I needed equipment for the game. So, I asked her to lend me some money. She immediately got mad, scolding me for wasting money on Naomi's expensive birthday gift just yesterday, and hung up. The more I thought about it, the more annoyed I got. Why couldn't I have gone back just one day earlier? Then suddenly, my phone rang again. It was a transfer notification. 10,000 yuan. Along with a voice message. She said it was her gym membership savings, and warned that if she couldn't work out, she'd take it out on me. I laughed and promised to pay her back. A few hours later, it was nearly midnight. I lay on my bed ready. Suddenly, the ring on my finger glowed bright red. After binding to me, a system window appeared. The global beta test of 8 Wastelands had begun. In an instant, I was pulled back into that world. 10 years later, I had returned to where everything began. A grand palace appeared before me. Floating above was a radiant woman glowing in golden light.
Everyone stared at her, mesmerized. They didn't know, but I did. She was the goddess, the cosmic AI behind the game. This was the first stage. Simple on the surface, but dangerous if mishandled. Some players started whistling and shouting inappropriate things at her. I shook my head. Moments later, those players were instantly punished, dragged into a vortex. The rest were confused. But I knew, disrespecting the goddess came with severe penalties. So I stepped forward respectfully, cupping my hands. The goddess looked at me calmly.
"Mortal, you seem worthy. Do you wish to walk the path of cultivation?"
Without hesitation, I asked for a talent. She pointed at me, and golden light enveloped my body. In my previous life, I got a useless discount talent. Would it happen again? A screen appeared. Innate talent, defy fate. I froze. This was completely different. Each death would reduce my attributes. But every breakthrough would double my gains and trigger deadly tribulations. Dangerous, but insanely powerful. I smiled. High risk, high reward. This time, I wouldn't hold back. Next, I customized my appearance, choosing the one with the highest charisma. Unlike before, I knew appearance mattered for gaining NPC favor. Then came the birthplace selection. 4 regions, 4 paths. Last time, I chose Mage because of Naomi. This time, I chose Mushin, the land of sword cultivators. I would walk my own path. A golden light surrounded me, and in the next moment, I appeared in a beginner village. It was crowded and chaotic, just like I remembered. Players were shouting, exploring, even flirting. Soon, an old man appeared, and everyone rushed toward him for quests. But I didn't follow. Instead, I turned and walked the other way. Before long, people realized the NPC wasn't responding at all. Then suddenly, "Wait!" a voice called from behind. I turned around. A beautiful woman approached, introducing herself as Lady Kue, the tailor shop owner. She asked if I wanted to accept a quest. And she had been single ever since, and now she was even offering to help me if I found the quest too difficult. Was this really the effect of having maxed out charisma? It felt like I could attract NPCs without even trying. If I wanted, I could probably build some kind of relationship with that attractive widow, but the thought slipped away almost as quickly as it came. Despite her enthusiasm, I politely declined. I told her I had important things to take care of today, but I'd definitely return another time to pick up a quest. She looked a little disappointed, though she didn't press the matter. The other players nearby, however, look even more envious than before. I still had somewhere specific to go in the newbie village. After a bit of searching, I found a blacksmith shop. As I walked up, another player leaned toward me and said there was a blacksmith inside who didn't speak at all. I cupped my hands in thanks and replied that I was just taking a look. Inside, several players were gathered around a burly man hammering away at an unshaped weapon. They tried talking to him, asking questions, even waving their hands in front of his face, but he didn't react in the slightest. Eventually, they gave up and left. The blacksmith muttered under his breath, "Why isn't this weapon taking shape today?" I stepped closer, glancing at the furnace below. Without saying a word, I grabbed the bellows and began pumping air into the fire. The flames surged, roaring to life as the temperature climbed rapidly. I already knew this blacksmith was the key NPC of the newbie village. "Yes, the temperature was too low. The fire wasn't strong enough," he said, continuing to hammer the metal. We didn't exchange another word. He hammered. I worked the bellows. Soon, the smoke cleared, and the blacksmith lifted the weapon high with a triumphant grin. "Finally! It's done." He turned toward me, gratitude clear on his face. He explained that his apprentice was away. Then he gestured toward the weapons behind him. "Choose one. You can borrow it for a day, but you must return it afterward." To other new players, this reward might have seemed stingy, but I knew better. The real reward hadn't come yet. I picked up a simple iron sword. The blacksmith burst into hearty laughter. "Not bad. If you can bring me 10 pairs of venomous fangs from bamboo snakes within a day, I'll give you a special opportunity." After accepting the quest, I left the shop. The moment the other players saw the sword in my hand, their expressions changed instantly. "How did you get that?" I casually pointed back toward the shop. "The blacksmith's a romantic. Sing him a love song, move his heart, and he'll give you a weapon too." A surprising number of them believed me. They rushed inside, and before long, love songs echoed from within the shop. I shook my head, laughing quietly to myself as I walked away. Meanwhile, inside, the blacksmith trembled with rage. "Get out!" Most of the players thought it was part of the storyline, until the next second, when he swung his hammer and sent them all flying out the door. By then, I had already reached the bamboo forest. If you looked carefully, you could see green snakes coiled around the bamboo branches. One of them lunged at me without warning, but I casually struck it down with a quick combo. The first snake fell easily, granting me 3 experience points. I kept moving, cutting down more snakes one after another while collecting the items they dropped. From what I remembered, the equipment drop rate in 8 Wastelands was the drop rate was low, at least it was supposed to be. And yet, these low-level snakes were dropping a surprising amount of gear. I paused for a moment, glancing at the items scattered around me. Poison arrows, bits of equipment, even a few coins. It didn't add up. Could this be because of my maxed out luck attribute? It was the only explanation that made sense. Still, I didn't dwell on it for too long. Whether it was luck or not, it worked in my favor. That was all that mattered. I continued clearing the remaining snakes in the area, moving efficiently between the bamboo stalks. Their green bodies blended almost perfectly with the surroundings. But once you knew what to look for, they were easy targets. One by one, they fell. Eventually, the forest grew quiet. No more movement. No more hissing. Just the faint rustle of leaves swaying in the wind. As I moved forward, something caught my attention. A stone tablet. It stood slightly tilted, half buried in the ground, as if it had been forgotten over time. Not bad at all. With everything collected, I turned and headed back toward the newbie village. The familiar sounds of the village greeted me as I returned. Players talking, trading, shouting, moving around aimlessly. Without wasting time, I made my way straight to the blacksmith's shop. The heat inside hit me instantly. The blacksmith was still there, hammering away like before. I stepped forward and placed the 10 pairs of venomous fangs in front of him. He stopped, picked one up, examined it carefully, then nodded. "Good." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a letter before handing it to me. "This is the opportunity one promised." I took it. The moment my eyes landed on it, I saw the single word written clearly across the surface. Sword. My grip tightened slightly. This was my ticket.
The key to entering the sword sect. Trying to keep my voice steady, I asked, "Has anyone else received this quest?" The blacksmith shook his head. "You are the first." For a brief moment, everything felt still. Then, a quiet sense of satisfaction settled in. I'm ahead. While others were still wandering around, figuring things out, I had already taken a step forward, a decisive one. But I wasn't done yet. Before heading to the sword sect, there was something else I needed to do. Money. I turned and walked toward the busiest part of the village, the market. The moment I arrived, I raised my voice. "Come take a look. Selling at a huge loss. Need equipment?" I lifted the bow slightly so the light caught it. "The first blue snake bow on the server is up for auction." More players started gathering. "Highest bidder wins. And hurry. Buy it." Then suddenly, 50,000. A clear, confident voice cut through the noise. Heads turned. A group of female players approached, their presence immediately drawing attention. At the front stood a girl. She didn't even glance at the others. She walked straight toward me. "I can pay in cash," she said calmly, "or online transfer." I smiled slightly. Good price. I was just about to agree. 60,000. Another voice interrupted. A man stepped forward, his expression confident. "Wang Jinghao," he said, extending a hand. "Leader of the Millennium Guild." A ripple passed through the crowd. People recognized the name. Of course they did. The Millennium Guild wasn't small. I nodded politely. But inside, I remembered. In my previous life, when I reached the top 10 on the Sky leaderboard, they had approached me. I refused. And ever since then, Wang Jinghao held a grudge. Now here he was again. Interestingly, he had taken my joke seriously. "You're selling this to get married?" he asked. "If that's the case, I can cover all the wedding expenses." I almost laughed. "I appreciate it," I said, "but I'll pass." I really should have come up with a better excuse. Still, he didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled. "I admire that." He reached for the bow. 70,000. The girl spoke again, without hesitation. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Neither of them backed down. 100,000. 150,000. 200,000. The numbers kept rising. The crowd grew louder. 300,000. Now people were staring. "This is getting interesting." I glanced at the girl. She didn't even look pressured. No hesitation. No concern. Which guild is she from? She clearly didn't care about Wang Jinghao. That alone was unusual. Then, 500,000. Silence. Complete silence. Even the surrounding players were stunned. 500,000 for beginner equipment? Are they crazy? Pay-to-win players are insane. At the same time, whispers spread. She must have a powerful background. Wang Jinghao's expression darkened slightly. He stepped forward, his voice carrying a subtle edge. "Do you know who you're competing with?" The girl didn't react. "The highest bidder wins," she said calmly. "Or do you think you can take whatever you want?" His face stiffened. She was looking down on him, and she had the confidence to back it up. Compared to her, the Millennium Guild might not be much. Wang Jinghao hesitated. Then finally, he stepped back. Internally, he was furious, but he wasn't stupid. Spending 500,000 on a low-level weapon wasn't worth it. He turned, ready to leave. "Brother Wang, wait!" Turned. "What is it?" His tone was already impatient. I smiled slightly. "The Millennium Guild is well known," I said. "If Brother Wang is willing to offer 500,000 now, I'll sell it to you." I paused briefly. "In return, I hope you'll take care of me in the future." His expression changed instantly. Then, he laughed. "Good. Very good." His gaze toward me shifted. Approval. Deal. Without hesitation, he prepared the transfer. Moments later, payment received. I handed him the bow. "Leaving a good impression now will make things easier later." Wang Jinghao was clearly in a much better mood. He laughed as he walked away. Before leaving, he glanced at the girl. "Remember," he said mockingly, "don't go against the Millennium Guild." She froze for a moment. Then anger filled her expression. I watched him leave, and couldn't help but chuckle. The poison arrows alone made it worthless long term. Suddenly, I felt a sharp gaze. I turned. The girl was staring at me, furious. "How can you go back on your word?" she shouted. "Didn't you say the highest bidder wins?" She pointed at me. "Opportunist!" Then turned and stormed off. I stood there for a moment, thinking, yeah, that was a bit much. Maybe I should make it up to her. Outside the newbie village, in the Boar Forest, I found them again. The group of girls was preparing to level up. They split into smaller groups, each heading in different directions. As the others left, I appeared. She noticed me immediately. "What are you doing here?"